I'd spent years on this trip, not just saving the money. Every bonus, every spare dollar from my financial analyst salary went into a dedicated account. But the planning. Every detail, from the specific overwater bungalow at the St. Regis Bora Bora to the private seaplane transfer, was meticulously researched. I'd even hoarded airline points like a dragon guarding its gold. This wasn't just a honeymoon. It was the culmination of my life's work, a testament to my precision and my ability to manifest perfection. Ben, my fiancé, was supposed to be the cherry on top, the charming, charismatic marketing executive who'd appreciate the effort. He was 34, 2 years older than me, and usually so attentive. Our family dynamic was always a thing. My mother, Anne, bless her heart, always seemed to be reminding me how sweet my younger sister Laura was. Laura, at 28, had this way of charming everyone, a natural magnetism I'd always lacked. I was the responsible one, the detail-oriented one, the one who kept things together. Laura was the impulsive one, the one who always seemed to get away with things. There was a competitiveness that simmered beneath the surface, especially from her side. I kept my distance, as I usually did with emotions. Lately, though, the simmering had felt more like a low boil. Laura had been unusually interested in the honeymoon details. "How much did that cost, Zuriel?" she'd ask, eyes wide and innocent. "Are you sure you have enough points for that upgrade?" Ben had been acting weird too, distracted, checking his phone constantly, vague about his work travel. I'd brushed it off as pre-wedding jitters, my own meticulous nature overriding any real concern. Then the notification popped up. My phone buzzed on the kitchen counter. It was a social media tag. My heart did a strange little flip-flop, a mix of confusion and dread. Laura had tagged me in a photo, a selfie. She was on a white sand beach, turquoise water behind her, a cocktail in her hand, and right beside her, grinning like he'd won the lottery, was Ben. The caption, in Laura's bubbly script, read, "Living our best life. So glad to finally be on my honeymoon with my perfect fiancé, Ben. Bora Bora. Paradise found Zuriel gets what she deserves. My name, my fiancé, my honeymoon." My blood ran cold. The cold spread through me, numbing the initial shock. It wasn't just anger. It was a deep, unsettling certainty. This wasn't a mistake. This was deliberate. My meticulous mind immediately shifted from emotion to analysis. I walked to my bedroom, my steps unnervingly calm, and went straight to my passport drawer. Empty. The small blue booklet, usually tucked beneath my birth certificate, was gone. Then, the digital hunt began. I tried to log into my primary bank account. Password incorrect. My airline points account. Locked. The resort booking confirmation email. Deleted from my inbox, but a quick search of my trash folder brought it back. The name on the reservation was indeed Zuriel Price, but the associated email address was one I hadn't used in years, an old burner account I'd forgotten about. An account Laura knew about, an account she'd probably had access to for ages. This wasn't new. This was Laura. I remembered being 7, my meticulously colored drawing of a unicorn, perfect within the lines, proudly displayed on the fridge. Laura, then 3, had scribbled over it with a crayon, then tearfully claimed she had drawn the unicorn and how I had ruined it. Mom, Anne, had just sighed, "Oh, Zuriel, she's just a baby. Let her have this one." Or the time in high school when my elaborate science fair project, weeks of work, ended up with Laura's name on a small section, claiming she'd done the research for that part. When I'd confronted her, Mom had said, "Laura just wants to feel included. You're so good at everything, Zuriel." It always felt like my achievements were a threat to Laura, and my complaints were a burden to Mom. My fingers flew across the keyboard. I reset passwords, digging into every digital corner. That's when I saw it. The flight confirmation, sent not just to the burner email, but also to Ben's work email, and a credit card charge, a small one for an upgrade fee that had gone through on my card, but the confirmation email for it had been routed to Ben's personal address. He wasn't just a victim, he was an accomplice. Just as the full weight of the betrayal settled, my phone buzzed again. Another social media notification from Laura. This time, a video. She was holding a tropical drink, swaying slightly, her voice a little too loud, a little too high-pitched, almost a caricature of my own calm, measured tone. "Oh, hey guys," she chirped, winking at the camera. "Just enjoying my perfect honeymoon with my perfect fiancé. Some people just don't know how to live, you know. But we do." She laughed, a cackle that grated on my nerves, and then Ben's arms snaked around her waist, pulling her closer, his face a mask of feigned adoration. The video played on a loop in my mind, Laura's mocking voice, Ben's complicit smile. But the cold determination that had settled over me hadn't wavered. This wasn't just about my honeymoon anymore. It was about reclaiming my identity, my life, and my dignity. I wasn't going to collapse. I was going to fight back. First, the resort. I pulled up their website, navigating to their terms and conditions, their fraud policies. They had a clear protocol for identity theft. I took screenshots, highlighted sections, and then, with my phone pressed to my ear, I dialed their international number. It was late evening where I was, but early morning in Bora Bora. "My name is Zuriel Price," I stated, my voice steady, betraying none of the fury simmering beneath. "I believe my identity has been compromised, and a fraudulent booking has been made under my name at your resort." I laid out the facts: the stolen passport, the hacked accounts, the social media posts. The customer service representative, a woman named Sylvie, listened patiently. She confirmed the booking was under Zuriel Price, and after I provided my real ID details and answered a series of security questions, she assured me they could verify my identity and regain control of the reservation. "We take identity theft very seriously, Ms. Price," she said. "We can transfer the booking back to you once we've confirmed everything." I didn't just want to regain control. I wanted more. I called Leo, my colleague, my confidant. He was 35, a year older than me, and the only person who truly understood my meticulous nature. I laid out the whole sordid story, my voice tight with suppressed rage. He listened, silent for a long moment. Then his voice, usually so calm, held a sharp edge. "Zuriel," he said, "don't just get mad. Get even. You built this. You deserve it." His words resonated. I didn't just want my trip back. I wanted them to pay. I went back to the resort's booking site. The original reservation was for a standard overwater bungalow. I found the most opulent suite, the one with the private plunge pool and dedicated butler service. It was astronomical, but my savings account, now thankfully secured, could handle it. There was one first-class ticket left on the next flight out of my city, connecting directly to Bora Bora. It departed in 3 hours. I booked it all: the upgraded suite, the last first-class seat. My adrenaline surged, a potent mix of fear and exhilaration. I packed a small carry-on, grabbed my real passport, and headed for the airport. As the plane lifted off, the city lights shrinking below, my phone vibrated. A text message. It was from Ben. "If you're reading this, it's too late." "Too late for what, Ben?" I smiled. A cold, hard smile. "You have no idea. The flight was long, but the adrenaline kept me from truly resting." Ben's cryptic text had only fueled my resolve. "Too late? No, Ben. It's just beginning." I landed in Bora Bora in the early morning, the air thick with humidity and the scent of frangipani. A resort representative met me, holding a sign with my name. I was whisked away to a private boat, the turquoise water impossibly clear beneath us. The St. Regis Resort, with its iconic Mount Otamanu backdrop, looked exactly as it did in the brochures I'd pored over for months. At the reception desk, I presented my passport and the documentation I'd meticulously gathered, my original booking confirmations, the fraud report I'd filed with my bank, and the email exchange with Sylvie from customer service. The front desk manager, a man named Cameron Jones, was 31 and looked a little overwhelmed, but professional. He listened intently as I calmly explained the situation, omitting none of the details about Laura and Ben. "Ms. Price," he said, his brow furrowed, "we've been expecting you. We received a detailed report from our head office. And if I'm honest," he leaned in slightly, his voice dropping, "we've had a few odd complaints from the guests currently occupying your suite." He paused, then continued, "They've been rather demanding, quite rude to the staff, and have already had a few minor incidents regarding charges they dispute. They've managed to rub quite a few people the wrong way in just a couple of days." A small grim smile touched my lips. Of course they had. Laura's charm had a short shelf life when she wasn't getting her way, and Ben was likely just trying to keep up appearances. Cameron, seeing my expression, seemed to grasp the full scope of the situation. He offered his full cooperation, clearly eager to resolve the odd complaints problem. We formed an unspoken alliance right there. He upgraded me to the most luxurious version of my new suite, citing compensation for your inconvenience. I spent the next few hours sampling the amenities of my ridiculously opulent overwater bungalow. The private plunge pool was exquisite. The butler, a kind woman named Farah, brought me fresh fruit and a chilled glass of champagne. I walked around, familiarizing myself with the layout of the resort, the locations of the main restaurant, the bar, the pool. I needed to pick the perfect moment, the perfect setting, for the reveal. As I walked past the main lobby, I noticed a large banner near the entrance. "Tonight, Influencer Sunset Soiree." A resort-wide party, open to all guests, with a special focus on social media personalities. Public. Humiliating. My smile widened. This was perfect. The Influencer Sunset Soiree was in full swing. The main pool area was buzzing, fairy lights strung between palm trees, a DJ playing upbeat lounge music. Guests, many of them holding phones aloft, mingled and took selfies. Laura and Ben would be here. They wouldn't miss a chance to be seen. I found Cameron near the bar, looking calm but ready. "It's time," I told him. He nodded, already signaling 2 security guards. "We'll make the call from the front desk, Ms. Price." Discreetly, at first. My mind drifted back, not to the recent betrayal, but to the roots of it. Laura had always been jealous. I remembered a specific Christmas when I was 12. I'd gotten a new telescope, something I'd begged for, and spent hours poring over star charts. Laura, then 8, had gotten a dollhouse. Later that night, I found her in my room, trying to force the telescope's lens into the dollhouse window, furious that my gift was more special. Mom had just said, "Zuriel, you're older. You understand more. Laura just wants to be like you." I had never understood then how deeply those small slights, those constant comparisons, had festered in Laura. I had always seen it as childish petulance, not a festering wound. Now, looking back, I could see the pattern, the slow burn of resentment that had led to this explosive act. It was too late to fix that. The stakes were too high. Cameron led me to a quiet corner near the reception. He picked up the phone, dialing the number for my original suite. I watched, my heart thumping a steady rhythm against my ribs. The security guards positioned themselves casually, but alert, near the main entrance to the pool area. "Good evening. This is Cameron Jones, the resort manager," he said, his voice polite but firm. "I'm calling regarding the reservation under the name Zuriel Price. We have the actual guest of record in the lobby. There seems to have been a significant misunderstanding. We need to verify some details immediately." A moment of silence, then I heard Laura's voice, shrill and indignant through the receiver. What are you talking about? I am Zuriel Price. Who is this? Cameron didn't flinch. Ma'am, the actual Zuriel Price is here, with her original documentation. We need you to come to the lobby immediately to clarify this situation. A muffled shout, then Ben's voice, trying to sound calm but laced with panic. There must be some mistake. My fiancé is Zuriel Price. We're on our honeymoon. There is no mistake, sir, Cameron replied, his voice hardening. Security is on their way to your suite. We require your immediate presence. The line went dead. Cameron looked at me, a slight nod. They'll be here shortly. Just then, a ripple went through the crowd. Someone had clearly heard the commotion, or seen the security guards moving. Whispers started, then a few people pointed towards the hallway leading to the guest suites. Half the party guests, phones already out, started to follow the security guards, eager for drama. The show was about to begin. The crowd parted as Laura and Ben were escorted into the lobby by the security guards. Laura's face was blotchy red, her hair disheveled, a stark contrast to the glowing selfies she'd been posting. Ben looked pale, his usual confident swagger completely gone. The influencer party, now a gaping audience, had followed them, phones held high, recording every second. Zuriel! Laura shrieked, her voice cracking as she spotted me. You witch! How could you? This is my honeymoon. You're ruining everything. She gestured wildly at the onlookers. She's crazy. She's always been jealous of me. Ben stepped forward, trying to interject, his voice a desperate whisper. Zuriel, please. Let's talk about this. Laura. She manipulated me. She said you wouldn't mind, that you were too busy with work. She made it sound like it was a game. He looked at me, his eyes pleading, trying to twist the narrative, to paint himself as an unwitting victim. I just stared at him, a cold, hard knot in my stomach. A game, Ben? My voice was quiet, but it cut through the noise. My passport, my savings, my identity. That's a game to you? Laura started sobbing, a theatrical heaving sound. You destroyed my life. You always do this. You always have to be better, to ruin everything for me. She turned to the crowd, appealing to them. She's just bitter. She never wanted this trip anyway. The resort manager, Cameron, stepped forward, his voice calm and authoritative. Ms. Price, he said, addressing Laura, we have confirmed the true identity of our guest, Zuriel Price. You and Mr. Gardner are in violation of resort policy and potentially engaging in criminal activity. We require you to pack your belongings and leave the premises immediately. Laura wailed, collapsing against Ben, who looked utterly defeated. The influencers, a ravenous pack, continued to film, their murmurs growing louder. I watched, a strange mix of satisfaction and emptiness swirling within me. This was it, the reversal. The public humiliation I'd envisioned. It was delicious, but also haunting. The raw, desperate sound of Laura's accusation, "You destroyed my life," echoed in the cavernous lobby. The security guards gently but firmly escorted them towards the elevators. Laura continued to scream, her voice fading as they disappeared down the hall. My phone buzzed. It was Anne, my mother. I knew what this was about. She'd seen it online. Zuriel, her voice was already tearful. What have you done? Please, be the bigger person. This is your sister. I ignored my mother's call. My hand hovered over the decline button, then I just let it ring until it stopped. Being the bigger person was what had gotten me here in the first place. For once, I wasn't going to be. The next few days were a blur of deliberate indulgence. I ordered cocktails with tiny umbrellas, spent hours at the spa getting massages and facials, and swam in my private plunge pool until my skin pruned. I ate gourmet meals, read a book by the ocean, and watched the sunset from my overwater bungalow. It was everything I had planned, everything I had worked for, but now it was tinged with a strange, quiet triumph. I posted a single photo on my own social media, a perfectly composed shot of my feet dangling into the turquoise water, a champagne flute on the deck beside me. The caption was simple: "Living well is the best revenge." As a child, I'd always been the one to fix things, to be responsible. If Laura broke something, I'd find a way to mend it. If she forgot her homework, I'd stay up late helping her recreate it. I was never allowed to be angry, never allowed to be messy. My emotions were always secondary to maintaining the peace, to being the calm, organized Zuriel. This trip, this act of reclaiming, felt like a release of all that suppressed frustration. On my third day, Cameron came to my suite. He looked a little sheepish. "Ms. Price," he began, "when your sister and Mr. Gardner were escorted out, they left a few things behind. We found this in the suite." He handed me a phone. It was Laura's. Her lock screen was a selfie of her and Ben. "We can arrange to ship it to her," Cameron offered. "No," I said, taking it. "I'll handle it." He nodded, understanding. After he left, I opened the phone. It wasn't locked. I scrolled through her messages, a knot forming in my stomach. There were texts to a friend, detailing her plan to show Zuriel who's really better. Then, a string of unsent drafts, clearly meant for me. "You always got everything. Dad always said you were the smart one, the pretty one. Mom always said I was just sweet. Sweet isn't enough, Zuriel. Sweet doesn't get you the perfect life, the perfect fiancé, the perfect trip. I deserve this more than you." Another draft. "You think you're so perfect? You're just cold. You don't even know how to feel. I bet Ben would rather be with someone who actually laughs, someone who's fun." The words were a raw, unfiltered outpouring of years of insecurity and resentment. I could feel the sting of them, the sharp edge of her pain. I stared at the screen, my thumb hovering over the send button for a new message. Should I text her? Should I confront her with this? Or should I let the silence, the sheer weight of her public downfall, be my final word? As I pondered, my phone buzzed. A notification from my own social media. Laura had posted again. A long, rambling post, painting me as a heartless villain, a jealous older sister who had ruined her life out of spite. And it was going viral. The online storm was immediate and fierce. My inbox exploded with messages. Some were from strangers, cheering me on, calling me a legend. Others, from Laura's followers, and even some distant family members, condemned me as a monster, a heartless sister. My mother, Anne, called again, her voice a fragile plea for me to fix this, to make amends. Old wounds, never truly healed, began to ache. She still couldn't see beyond Laura's tears. My father, Alec, sent a terse email. "Handle your sister Zuriel. This is embarrassing." The usual distant disapproval. I stayed in Bora Bora for the remainder of the week, finishing my trip exactly as planned. The luxury, the solitude, it was all mine. The revenge had tasted sweet, undeniably so. Watching Laura's carefully constructed persona crumble, seeing Ben's panicked face, it was a satisfaction I hadn't known I craved. But as the days passed, a quiet isolation settled over me. Karma had played out beautifully. Laura was publicly humiliated. Her online presence, once her pride, now a battleground of hate comments and mockery. Her phone, which I still had, showed a flurry of desperate texts to friends who were now ignoring her. Ben, it turned out, had dumped her almost immediately after they were kicked out, crawling back to his real life, his reputation bruised, but not broken. Laura was left with zero Wi-Fi, zero credibility, and zero fiancé. And me? I was victorious. My passport was safe, my money recovered, my trip enjoyed, but the victory felt heavy. The silence in my luxurious suite, once a welcome respite, now felt vast. I had won, but at what cost? The chasm between Laura and me was now a canyon, impossible to bridge. My relationship with my mother, always strained, was now fractured. I had sought recognition, but instead found myself more isolated than ever. Maybe I'm the villain. Laura certainly thought so. The internet was divided, but I just call it consequences. I had been pushed, betrayed, and I had fought back. I had been precise, meticulous, and unapologetic. Back in my apartment, the familiar hum of the city outside, I poured myself a glass of the expensive champagne I'd brought back from the resort. I raised it, not to a future with Ben, not to a repaired family, but to myself, to the woman who didn't break, who fought back, who took what was hers. I was quietly victorious.